What is up? This is Basketball Island, and yeah, we're down a man today.
We are.
We got no Wes because congrats to Wes, father for the second time. Let's just say.
Good job, Wes.
Congrats.
Congrats to you and your family.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And after, I think you made the joke before we started, after the way things went last night, we thought he might have named him Tyrese after that Maxey performance. But no Wes for today, so instead we'll run a little three-man weave, just the three of us. And we gotta start with Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
We have to start with Ant-Man because a lot of crazy comps are getting thrown out. A lot of people are saying Jordan. We're not getting nuts, but
No.
It's clear he is the next best two guard in the NBA. But how far can this ascension go?
I think it can go far only because of how good he is defensively. On top of what he can do on offense, he shoots more threes than Jordan did as well. That's more of a contributing factor to this era of the NBA. The fact that he can score on you and lock you up all in the same sequence, to me, puts him in that kind of level, on the trajectory of a Kobe Bryant, of a Michael Jordan, even like Dwayne Wade, although I think Ant-Man is probably better defensively than Wade was, even in his prime. To me, I think the sky is the limit for this guy.
Yeah, his game is reminiscent of all those kind of classic two guards, and he certainly looks like he's on that ascension right now. And I mean, if he didn't have a coming out party before the Phoenix series, that was it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And on top of everything he's doing on the court, it's the personality he brings to the game.
The best part.
He's a killer.
Is half the battle here,
Yeah.
right? Like, and we're talking about a league right now where the American stars are old. You know, LeBron is almost out of the league. You know, Steph Curry's almost out of the league. Durant. None of these guys are even in the postseason now. So you're kind of looking around like, who's going to grab the torch here
Tatum.
as an American-born player? Now, it's not to say there's not stars. Obviously,
No.
Most of them are international, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they don't have quite that, like, maybe connection with the American public that Ant-Man might have.
And Ant-Man's a killer. Like, he's going to tell you that he's going to kill you, and then he does.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it's just that kind of, like, tenacity, like, that kind of personality that the league is missing, quite frankly. Like, and you're getting it a little bit from, like, you know, international guys, although do we call Embiid an international guy anymore? I mean,
he's American, though. He plays for the U.S., apparently.
Really
But
an
anyways.
American guy.
But I love that, like, you heard it after talking about Durant and what it meant. That's that killer mentality of he knew what it meant to kind of take Durant down. And like he understands, that's what you want in your superstar.
The MJ comps are unfair. All right, like,
but they seem so real.
They're unfair. I know they both won their first playoff series 4 years into their careers. I know there's a lot of symmetry there, the way they kind of play, the way their swag on the court.
The confidence in that Ant-Man probably thinks he could go to the NFL, no problem. And I like same thing with Jordan in baseball.
To me, man, the thing that separates Ant-Man from a lot of these other potential guys is the fact that he has these like galvanizing plays within a game, within crucial moments in the game. Like this guy has 42 points in the fourth quarter in the series against Phoenix. Like, so he rises to the occasion, blows by Bradley Beal, and then slams it on Kevin Durant. Like that's when you knew, right?
Yeah.
Like you knew that game was done.
Yeah. Pretty sure you could blow by Bradley Beal at this point, but
I used to like Bradley. I used to be a Bradley stan, but yeah, dude, he's just a monster.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's not just like how well he's playing. It's also we're here to be entertained, right?
Yeah.
And he's doing that as well. I mean, you put his highlight reel of his best dunks. I mean, they're starting to stack up with anybody you've ever seen.
NBA Twitter put a top 10 out the other day, and it's like he's yamming on everyone. They're all fun to watch.
All of them are good.
For me, what really made the superstar leap for me, I believe it was game 2. The shot was not falling. He was not scoring, but he still found a way to dominate that game. Especially like they were down in kind of third quarter, he just took over and it was like you were just doing the dishes. It was all from passing and it was from great D, but it all led to great shots. And he had the awareness of, yeah, my shot's not going. How can I still take over that game? And not a lot of people have that quality.
Yeah, he's hitting all the checkpoints you want. Decision making, leadership. Mm-hmm. He's clearly taken over as the number one in Minnesota. You know, and Kat is deferring to him as he should.
Even his post clips with Kat. Yo, Connor, sound that up, man.
Let me just say, tonight he wasn't in foul trouble. Like the first 3 games, the motherfucker just kept fouling. And tonight, I told him, what did I tell you last game?
He said, "Yo,
We
can
ain't
you
gonna-
find a way not to foul him?" I said, "I'm gonna try."
Like
my best."
if you watch the game, every time in the third quarter when we would grow a lead, it's because he's in the game, because they don't have a matchup for him. I'm like, Cat, we're not gonna win game 4 if you foul. I told him yesterday, we're not gonna win game 4 if you keep fouling. You keep fouling.
Probably because I was trying to play more defense.
I mean, just foul.
where he was talking.
Stop taking fouls.
Stop. You just gotta stop fouling, man. You just gotta stop fouling, man. It's like, yeah, like he's just holding people accountable. But Towns wasn't like offended by it. Now, okay, so we can all let me just on it for a sec here, because you're going up against the Nuggets. You're going up against Caldwell Pope. You're going up against Aaron Gordon. Much more better defensive
bodies that they can just throw at you in length.
So I think, to me, if we're talking about this series now, from Mini, Denver, probably the best series we could probably forecast in the playoffs, other than the potential finals matchup. I think it's going to be an under series. I think there's going to be a lot of defense shown, even though we know that Denver can score pretty much at will. They're still very methodical about how they go about things. I don't think there's not an Anthony Davis on Minnesota, so you're not going to get that dude who's going to dominate Jokic all the time and get those buckets. If Ant-Man's going to have to do his damage, it's going to have to be against guys like KCP, Aaron Gordon, even MPJ on switches, who can do stuff. Peyton Watson might get some looks. Christian Brown, I wouldn't do that. But
no,
but you just have more dudes who can guard. So I think Ant-Man's going to have a tougher time. It's going to really depend on the others to really provide the offense.
The series for me is interesting just because Denver can really overwhelm you with their size.
Yeah.
And the T-Wolves really seem like the only team that can kind of match that.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I love where you're going with that under logic. I'll probably follow on that.
Yeah.
I'm so hyped for this series. And I like looking at the odds, it's like, I was kind of hoping Mini would be a little higher. Plus 165 just doesn't move the needle enough for me to bet that.
Minus 205 as of this taping to win
maybe,
the series.
but maybe like do like a Denver in 6, maybe get them at the -1.5, and you're getting a better number.
Last year's was what, 5-game series? It was tight. I mean, I think it was one of those series that were kind of like
still played them, bro.
They played them tight. But it was a little under the radar, that series, right? Like
So
we went back.
not a lot of sickos were watching that series. I was one of them. And, it was a 1-8. Everyone kind of knew Denver was going to win, but those were all dogfight games, and you can make the argument like Mini's better now, and Denver maybe is not worse, but they're not bulletproof.
Well, Mini also
right?
didn't have McDaniels.
Yes.
Right. So that's a big, like he's a guy you throw on Jamal Murray, right? Like
Lesson there: don't punch walls because your hand might break.
Most likely of the three of us to punch a wall after a bricklayer's loss is definitely you.
It's -1,000.
I may have done it.
But yeah, to your point, listen, it's going to be a super tight series both ways. And, people say, like, Denver has struggled against Minnesota. They split the season series 2-2, and people are like, well, it's a bad matchup for Jokic. Like, there isn't really a bad matchup for Jokic. Not. What they've done, though, is they've held him from dishing out to other guys. Yeah. So what stood out to me is he only averaged over 4 assists a game in 4 regular seasons.
That is insane.
That is a crazy low number. With that said, his scoring was close to 30 a game. So they have turned him into more of a scorer, but they do pressure and take all the shots away.
But that's a matchup I think Minnesota's going to have to live with, right? Like Rudy Gobert, probably the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Jokic.
He should be. Announce the award. Can we announce these awards? Why are we wasting our time with the hustle player of the year and exec of the year?
Teammate of the year.
Tell us you have a lot of money on Depoy without telling us you have a lot of money on Depoy.
I just did.
We do, yeah.
Here's the thing, though. If we're going to blueprint a way to beat Denver, isn't that the way? You live with what Gobert gives you in a one-on-one matchup and take away everybody else and don't double at all. If Jokic needs to score 40 a game, I think that's your path to trying to beat them.
To be honest, MPJ is probably the guy you need to stop. I mean, Denver didn't shoot the ball well from 3 against the Lakers. Michael Porter Jr. is the only dude who consistently killed them.
But how much does MPJ eats off of doubles and then little dump off into the dunker spot? Like that's if you're not going to double, then
that's why we got Jaden McDaniels, man.
But here, now we have to talk about the other end of the court where Denver is pretty robust defensively, probably more than they get credit for. Now I know. Jokic kind of got lit up a little bit by Davis, but Gobert's not going to do that. And at the same time, the reason I didn't like Mini, which I'll eat a fat L, I liked Phoenix in that series. We went through this last week. I think the Suns are going to win against the Wolves. I think they're going to win in at least 5 or 6 games. Wow. So a -1.5 in the spread. Huge mistake. I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry. But the reason
we were seduced.
Apology accepted.
All right,
apology accepted.
I'm embarrassed. Anyways,
let's take that Durant jersey down.
Just get it down right now, man. The reason I kind of struggled with Mini was because their crunch time offense had struggled all year. So now Phoenix didn't offer any resistance. Denver's a different story altogether.
Yep.
Denver has shown they can buckle down when they ramp it up. They're a very good defensive team. So can Mini go shot for shot with them late in games when it's close?
So 2 big things, right? Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Can he stop fouling, man? Can he stop fouling? And can he spread out that Denver defense? Can he bang some threes in? Can he fit in? I think he unlocks a lot for Minnesota because I agree, man. If McDaniels isn't hitting shots, if Conley isn't hitting shots, Conley looks old this series for whatever reason, Karl Anthony Towns needs to be the dude that does that. But we also just glossed over Jamal Murray. And the fact that he's, what he did in Game 5 with a calf strain.
Yeah.
I hit 2 game-winning shots in the same series, one a buzzer beater.
The Game 2 shot, I don't care. That swung the series. If the Lakers win that game, we could be. This series cannot be over. That could be something that's supposed to be 6 or 7.
Denver would limp into this series against Minnesota, which is tough. I think to me, man, Jamal Jokic 2-man game, right? We could talk about every other thing. Can Minnesota stop that? Now, do they put Ant-Man on Jamal? Do they, do you put your 2 best players, in this case would be Gobert, in my opinion, Gobert and Ant-Man. Do you just say, these are our guys, your 2 best versus ours? I'm very, very intrigued by that.
Interesting stat. Jamal Murray and Jokic, they have raised their points per game in the playoffs compared to the regular season more than their top 2 ever.
I saw that number. It's like 8 and 7.
Yeah, they're the top 2 risers in the playoffs
Jamal does
of all time.
Jamal for sure does it.
Big game players, man.
Proof that playoff Murray is a real thing.
Oh, he hates that nickname, but it's true, man. It is what it is.
Push comes to shove. I still got to go Denver.
Yeah.
I can't get there yet.
I would take Denver. I wouldn't lay
I think
the money on the
minus
juice.
1.5 is what I'm gonna. That's what I'm leaning to.
That's
I think they take it in 6.
Very reasonable bet. I do think this series goes at least 6. Just based, and it's a war of attrition. I like the unders.
Now and I will follow you on that. From one great Canadian to another, Shai did not the greatest series from Shai, but OKC as a team. Everyone talked about the youth. Very professional win. Now, obviously, no Zion, but they did what they had to do.
hobbled Ingram.
But they handled the Pelicans with ease, and they're now resting up and in a great spot going into round 2.
Youngest team in the league, youngest team to win a series, youngest team to sweep a series. Shai was inefficient in that series. I thought,
his defense was good though. He had the Hambone-esque gamble on a few steals that really beat some breaks. Hey man,
Thank you.
It's your signature.
Risk reward.
Yeah.
I would say that Shai went up against some really good defenders in that series, right? Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, they had some dudes, right? Whereas, again, we don't know who they're going to play in the second round as of now. I worry a little bit. Their youth did not show against the Pelicans, but, Chet Holmgren to me was the key in that series. I thought he destroyed the paint. I thought he owned the paint, protected the rim at will. I think he had 11 blocks in 4 games. I worry about their inexperience against Paul George, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, whomever it is. Can you match blow for blow? Will their inexperience come through? I don't know, man. It's tough. I don't think the Pelicans was a good enough test.
I mean, listen, for the first round, they had the best defensive rating, best effective field goal percentage, best net rating. Now, I get it, Zion was out, but they're doing exactly what they need to do. So this inexperienced stuff, I'm sure it will rear its ugly head at some point.
Maybe not.
But
I don't know.
I don't know if, from what I've seen, the Mavs and Clippers aren't playing like gangbusters right now. That is a sloppy series.
Luka's hurt.
Both ways.
Kawhi's out.
But
Kawhi's out, yeah.
That's going to play into their advantage. OKC is just resting. We all assume that series is going to go 7. These 2 teams are going to go 7-game bloodbath. Then game 1, you have to go into OKC. You can just pencil in an OKC win right away.
Is that what you're doing?
I just think the war of attrition that they're going through right now is going to have a major effect going into round 2, while OKC is just chilling right now.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here saying OKC is going to win the West, but they have a real chance at going to the conference finals, more than a good chance. And, as you said, if it goes 7 between the Mavs and Clippers, that game 1 is almost historically a loss.
Yes, always.
Automatically when you enter the next series, especially on the road. So besides Shai, Jalen Williams he's having a breakout star year as well. That guy's probably
he's a legit threat to
he's
score
probably an all-star next year.
I don't want to be that guy, but what's this dude wearing, man? When he walks in, man, what is this stuff? I don't get it.
Bro,
I'm in a hoodie and sweatpants
you don't like
all the
it's
time.
fashion. Look it up.
Fashion.
We're old.
You don't like the dog shirt that he was wearing though?
I don't know, man.
You like their whole bit where they're barking at the end of games and stuff?
It's cute.
All right, I know they're all gathered around for one thing. Have at it.
It's cute.
It's cute, man.
To your point about
Cute.
Chet, I think I said this 2 weeks ago. his last month of the season really worried me because he had never played that many games this year, and he didn't
Played
miss
all 82.
any time this year.
All 82.
And he really looked like he was wearing down. But now I kind of look at that as like, oh, he was picking his spots because he ramped it right back up for that first round, and he was the guy we saw the first 3 months of the season.
And if your strategy is like, oh, we're just going to post up Daniel Gafford or Zubac against Chet and get your points that way, I mean, go right ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I think what Chet gives you on the offensive end and also as a help defender is greater than that. So I don't really buy this whole like they needed a big guy to like hold up. Maybe against Jokic because Jokic will just pick you apart over and over again.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think OKC has something good going on. I just think, man, inexperience will eventually show.
I don't think it shows until Denver in the conference
So
final.
you think they're going to buy whomever?
I honestly, man,
disagree with that.
I'm more. It's mostly just because of as we said, the matchup situation, and I think that Clippers Mavs is going to be a really like fight for 7 games, and then if you can just pencil in OKC for game 1, I don't know if they can then lose 4 over the next 6.
It will be interesting. I think overall what impresses me most about the Thunder is they just kind of wear you down. You know, they have all these shooters, they have all this motion, driving kicks. They may not get you on the first action or the second action, but maybe it's the third action at the end of the clock. You have to keep defending them the entire shot clock. They don't let you off the hook. And teams like Dallas and Clippers right now are kind of like, I don't know if they can sustain defending that for entire possessions,
I think the
right?
way you do that is you're going to have to sell out on Josh Giddey.
Yeah.
And just let him beat you.
We talked about this before. He might be unplayable in certain situations come playoff time because of the lack of shooting.
Or you just live with it and you think that, hey, we have enough offense on our end to keep outscoring you while Giddey just kind of figures out. Although Giddey's played very well.
Yeah.
Like he's actually played
great.
well. Tip of the cap, man. But I think, you know, when the pressure kind of increases, can he bang
you live with
threes?
him. You live with him. No, he can't, and you live with him taking those
And
shots.
will Shai continue to be inefficient like he was against the Pelicans? I think if teams figure out like the grifting for foul stuff, that's not going to happen as much. But Shai is smooth as butter, and shout out just the birth of his child. I think that's pretty cool. Thank God didn't come on a
Shai,
game day.
give Wes his moment.
Yeah,
Shai.
come on, man.
Like, please give Wes his moment.
Let Wes have his.
2 future NBA players.
So Risky just flashed us the time sign, and it's been a long time, and we haven't even got to the Eastern Conference. And as we transition, I'm going to start with this with a bold proclamation that I think both of you are going to agree with. But it comes from something I saw in an unreal Game 4 last night. Cleveland is going to close out the Magic in Orlando on Friday night.
I disagree.
And here's why. They unlock something, and they've kind of done it throughout this series. When you have Mobley on Paolo, he cannot score. Bring up Connor, bring up the matchup data right now. I think Cleveland needs to put Mobley on Paolo as much as possible in Game 6 and let everybody else in Orlando beat you, because I don't think anybody else in the Magic can beat you.
So I love Evan Mobley. I think we're still on.
He made
much on old Mobley Island. I think he's just on a fraudulent team, and it makes me sad. I don't like the Cavs. I do like him defensively. I think what you saw in
Paolo can't score when Mobley's on him. That length really bothers him.
So what you saw in Game 5 was, I think, what the Cavs probably should be going forward is Mobley at center, right? Like Jarrett Allen was out.
Yeah.
And Mobley, I thought, did a great job. He can spread the floor. I'm not saying he's a consistent outside shooter, but he gives him a little more versatility. So I agree with you in that regard.
The defense didn't drop off, and the offense got better.
I just don't understand how you can watch what Cleveland did in Orlando, those 2 like pretty bad games there, and just boldly proclaim that they're going to go into Orlando and win games.
Because
I am not on that. I'm on the Magic.
It's an indictment on every offensive player, all the other offensive players on Orlando. And I think if you're able to really, really like lock in on Paolo, who's going to beat you? Who do you trust on Orlando to score outside of him?
Franz.
No, but he had a good game. But like,
Mobley? I think role players shoot better at home. I think the Magic will get more threes at home. I don't know, but I just don't like Cleveland. I just don't like this team.
Listen, man, if a series is only played on NBA TV, does it really count as a playoff series?
Well, as a Raptors fan, you cannot say that.
They showed, and especially last night.
You cannot say that as a Raptors fan.
They showed us that this series did not. This is like, I know this is the true junkie series for Hoops Heads, but like, this is the game last night was awesome. This series has been a ton of fun.
Game five was a lot of fun. This feel like I had Cleveland to win -1.5 games before the series. I don't feel good about that at all. I think Orlando's probably gonna blow them out in Game 6. I mean, no, honestly, like they did in Games 3 and 4. I don't look at Cleveland and think they don't inspire confidence, especially on the road. Like what's Donovan Mitchell shooting in this series?
Yeah, it's
because
been bad.
every time I look at what this guy's taking, it's like a crappy
might be
step
hurt.
back three.
He might be hurt.
Okay, he's hurt.
And
All right,
also-
man, yeah, all right,
like,
whatever.
He's looking.
Good perimeter defense from the Magic.
Yeah,
Credit
yeah.
to Orlando's defense on
And
him.
Garland's the one who stepped up, right? Like
Yeah.
they need another guy to step up and score. I thought Garland did that, but you're gonna get down the road. Is that gonna translate? I don't know, man. Orlando's blown them out in both their home games.
I'll just say this: in the last pod, I made 2 bold proclamations,
You
and
did.
they were that this series is going to go 6 at plus 200, or this series is going to go 7 at plus
We're-
230.
we need Wes. We need Wes.
and
to call
I'm
you out on
glad,
that.
and I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
I'm glad
bet
you
are.
did.
Glad you did too.
Okay, so that's the, we gotta now just transition. We gotta pour some out for our king,
Your king,
my king.
Biggie.
LeBron is out of the playoffs, and our friends at FanDuel have a very interesting market. And no, I'm just gonna say it. I'm pretty sure Fab moved the line. He saw it. He saw Lakers at plus 150 for LeBron's next team. He max bet it. All of a sudden today, that line's down to minus 150. So line mover, congrats.
Hey man, bad boys moving silence and violence, man.
Number 2, never let them know your next move. Don't you know bad boys move in silence and violence? Take it from your highness.
I think we're all in agreement here that it's most likely that he's going to go back to the Lakers. But
Yeah.
let's start with
No, he's going back to the Lakers.
Okay, so let's take off.
This is what he does, man.
Let's take off our practical hats and put on our fun hats.
I don't want to.
ignoring cap space. We'll get to the cap space thing in a second. Where would you want him to go?
I don't care.
Well,
I don't care. Go back to the Lakers, man. Here's what he's doing, all right? Any team that drafts Bronny, LeBron's probably going to angle towards. So right now, what
Brian's
he's doing,
going back to the transfer portal, man. I don't think he's going to enter the draft.
he's putting pressure on the Lakers to draft Bronny James, in my opinion. I don't know anything.
I
That's
don't
my
think
opinion.
Bronny is an NBA player. So what are we doing here?
I don't know.
What do you mean?
I didn't
great
watch
genes.
USC enough last year and
He's got
his
great
minutes to know
genes.
anything about him.
He's got great genes.
I didn't watch him either, but based on what he put up in his freshman year in
Not
college,
great.
and
Not
this
great.
is a terrible draft, and this kid's supposed to be some
LeBron
like
does
NBA.
this. LeBron does it.
Okay, so
look,
just basketball fit. Basketball fit alone. There's no
let's-
salary cap. Where would you want him to go?
Basketball fit
Basketball
only?
fit alone, and then we'll get into the cap situation after this.
Dallas,
That's what I think too.
I would,
Dallas,
as a
Golden
fan,
State Warriors,
as a fan,
to
I
see him
would,
and Curry together would be cool.
as a fan, I'd say just go back to Miami.
Yeah, that's what I want.
I mean,
that's
you know,
the one thing I
as
want.
a
Him and
neutral,
Riley just-
why
Yeah.
not?
Him and Pat
LeBron
just
ends up
patching it up.
in Miami.
So now, when navigating this market, though, it's important to look at the cap space situation. Philly at 55 mil is the true contender with the most cap space, but then we also have, and then there's no chance he's going to San Antonio, but the Wemby and the Spurs
yeah.
at like around 27 mil, and then there's also OKC who has some cap.
Orlando as well.
They're the only true 3 to 4 contenders that could do it, but we've seen. Anybody can be moved at any time. You just have to maneuver the cap space.
LeBron
But
ain't
right
taking the
now,
minimum.
those are the teams that seem the most
LeBron's
likely.
not taking a minimum.
LeBron is not going to take a discount.
No.
And, you know, he's always going to be coy about this. You know, after they got eliminated, he's kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is how LeBron operates. And don't get clouded by the smoke.
Puppet master.
Listen, man, he's staying in LA. Palm trees, nice weather. He's got his executive producing stuff.
man.
His family's there.
has
This guy's going to go
aspirations.
slum it out in Philadelphia for a year to play with hobbled Embiid.
But
When
is that,
he's 40 years old, he's going to look around and say, wait, this guy's out again? I'm going to have to carry this?
Yeah, they got Tyrese Maxey, man.
Yeah, they
His
do.
boy.
if
They do.
LeBron is on Philly, is Philly the best team in the East next year?
Probably. I mean, maybe not the best, but I think they have a legitimate shot. But I just don't think it's happening.
If
Just-
LeBron is
What
on,
are we doing?
If,
What are we doing right now? We're indulging this guy's fantasies. Like, what are we doing?
You know what? Blame our friends at FanDuel for putting up a market. Because until that market was up, you guys said we weren't talking about this.
I think that market.
Bet the Lakers minus 150, staying put. Just throw your money on that.
I think
Don't get tricked by all
I think
this
the
nonsense.
market correlates to Bronny, man. I think LeBron came out and said it. He came out and said he wants to play with this kid. He has what? He said he has 2 years left.
Okay, all right, but
Bron's not playing with
all
the
right, man.
Reports.
So the Wizards take Bronny.
I don't think.
Well, I'm just saying.
I don't think that's how it works, man. I think Bronny will end up choosing what team he wants to play for.
I think
it's that
because
like,
he's not really an NBA player. The Lakers are going to say, "Fine, we'll take him with a second rounder."
Yeah.
And
Or a
and
first
LeBron
round.
will say, "I'm not going anywhere." Why would they waste a pick on him?
to keep LeBron
He's
James.
he's not even a first round talent.
Think about it, right? It's like when Clippers traded for Kawhi, right? They traded for Kawhi, like they traded for Paul George and then signed Kawhi.
They also
knowing
traded
that
for
they're getting-
Castleberry
all right,
as well.
what are we
as part
doing?
of
What are we
that deal.
doing here? What are we doing here?
All I'm saying is that like I think this is a lot of nonsense. Bet the markets if you want. If you want to take some sprinkles.
Are you going to hammer the Lakers at minus 150?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's not much juice, but maybe. I mean, it's out there. I would, if you held the gun in my
When
head.
Fab sent the message of plus 150, we all should have jumped on it, and we didn't.
Should have.
You know what? I'm glad you did, though.
Thank you.
Glad you did.